All right. So again, thank you for being here today. This is FCI Live September series in 2021. And this is online payments, a peer panel that we're having today for the most requested topic you guys sent in this fall is how to wrangle with accepting online payments, accepting payments electronically. With us today is Jillian Jason from the Wild Onion Market, board chair there, Kathy Nash, board chair of Prairie Food Co-op, and Katie Conduit, Kingston Food Co-op. Are you still board chair?
Project manager.
Project manager. Okay, I knew the role had changed. Okay, thank you guys all so much for being here with us today. We really deeply appreciate it. This is going to be more of a peer convo. So I'd like to first ask just I'm going to ask each of our panel guests, tell us where your co-op is, tell us a little about your co-op, and then how long have you guys been accepting digital payments? Is this new for you? Have you been doing it for a while? Let's just start with those questions. And if I can go first to Jillian.
Thanks, Jacqueline. So our co-op is Wild Onion Market. We're located on Chicago's north side. So we're a co-op in a densely urban area. We've kind of organized, that's been a big part of our organization. We also kind of a co-op that had two distinct phases of momentum. So we have, I believe it predates my time on the board, which has been 4 years. We've been organizing for about 7 years, pretty seriously. Digital payments were accepted early and through PayPal, like Nation Builder connection. So we originally had a Nation Builder site plugged into PayPal, and we've for a very long time accepted digital payments to become owners, like an owner share. And then with that also have been doing just through PayPal, the subscription agreements. So it's like you can pay $10 a month or $25 a month or whatever the person signing up so chooses. We're in a little bit of a later phase now, starting to accept some donations, capital campaign funding, and we do not have any of that set up digitally. So we are navigating that world right now.
And that's an interesting angle, which I will actually, I will be putting Kathy a little on the spot about, because their co-op has moved into that phase and is accepting it online as well. So great, thank you for the introduction. And Katie, can you introduce your co-op and just a little bit about your history with accepting digital payments?
Sure. So my name is Katie Conduit. I'm with the Kingston Food Co-op, which is in Kingston, New York. We're upstate and about 2 hours north of New York City and just south of Albany. And our co-op has been organizing since April 2018. And we started accepting digital payments pretty soon after we incorporated in February of 2019. So I think we probably started accepting them maybe in the summer of 2019. So it's been about 2 years. We quickly saw that people were more likely to join the co-op if they could use a card to join. And so we first started accepting via PayPal, and that felt too challenging for record keeping for us. And so now we've moved to Square, which has been great and a pretty smooth process for us.
I'm gonna be asking you more questions about that in just a little bit. Excellent, thank you so much. And Kathy, could you introduce yourself, your co-op, and just a little bit about your guys' history of accepting online payment and what all you're accepting online payment for?
Sure. My name is Kathy Nash. I'm board chair of Prairie Food Co-op. We are in Lombard, Illinois, so about 20 miles just straight west of Chicago. So we are kind of neighbors of Wild Onion Market. We are a suburban location, not densely populated. We have been organizing since 2012, and we started accepting owner payments in 2013. And we've always accepted online payments. So we initially did that through PayPal on a WordPress site. But about a year and a half into that, we switched over to Nation Builder, which works with both Stripe and PayPal. So we use Stripe for our full payments because Stripe is cheaper than PayPal, and Stripe also does not offer installment payment plans. And so for people who want to do installment payment plans, they just use PayPal. And like, again, PayPal is a little bit more expensive than Stripe. And then we also accept payments for things like yard signs and T-shirts, and to avoid sales tax, we make sure that it's clear that this is a donation to the co-op. It is not a sale, so we don't have to pay sales tax on any of those items. We have launched our capital campaign. We had our first round of funding in the spring. We didn't accept online payments for any of that. We did DocuSign online, which is more expensive than they advertise. But we partnered with a fiscal agent who does accept online payments. Although, big caveat, their online payment is very, very expensive. So we've really encouraged people to write checks. And we have people who've invested via check or made a donation via online payment, but that's through our fiscal agent.
So I misunderstood that. Good. We'll be circling back on that because I think a lot of startups are questioning right now, like, is there a way to streamline, the capital campaign by accepting that money digitally as well?
Actually, we do accept it if they can transfer from their bank account directly to our bank account, but not all banks do that. So that's the only way we've been able to figure that out, and like an online check, basically.
Okay, great. I'd like to circle back to the whole concept just of online payment. We have some startups, and I didn't know this. You guys all pretty much had online payment from the beginning. All of your orgs did, and that's interesting because a lot of startups don't get to this till later. It's something they want to do, they hope to do, but maybe there's just not the tech background on the team and they feel intimidated by it. And I heard you guys say it, but I want to, do you experience that it's really critical to how often people are willing to join, to buy the t-shirt, whatever, and if you want to speak to that a little bit.
I can speak to that a little bit. When we first started selling ownerships, we kind of wanted people to pay by check because it's cheaper for us. The credit card processors do take a little bit of a chunk out of that. I think it's like $4.50 or something. So we added on at the beginning, we passed along that fee to our owners. So they had to pay the ownership fee plus the credit card processing fee. So that did kind of encourage more people to pay via check, but I think it also limited the number of people who were willing to join. So when we took that fee off, it totally switched from about 50% check payments to 80% credit card payments or online payments. So.
And I've heard startups bring up this idea, like maybe we'll pass on the fee. And so I'm hearing from you think though it was actually a limit, like it was a deterrent to people maybe doing something that otherwise they would have just, filled out and done.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we were so early on and we didn't have a lot to offer. I think now we're at a phase where we probably could get away with doing that because we have a location and, we just have a lot more things to show the community that we've done. But early on, I think that wasn't the best idea for us.
Okay, great. Jillian, any thoughts just on overall and why accepting electronic payments was important, or what kind of switches you saw? Or
Yeah, so I really joined our leadership team in the co-op when we could already do electronic payments, but I think the biggest thing for us is the flexibility with the installment payments. We've always heavily advertised as low as $10 a month. You just get it done in 25 months. And early on the board, I've been on the board 4 years, it was like, man, we're getting these like $10 and $10, and there was a little bit of a cash flow crunch. But now going into a different phase, it's incredible the capital that you kind of have reserved for yourself with these monthly recurring payments. So our monthly recurring payment sometimes is more than what we're bringing in that month on just like new owners, which at we're right at like site selection where we're really hoping to close the deal, and all the fees are coming. Like we got the architect and all this stuff. So I think it kind of worked out perfectly for our co-op having a long organizational phase that we had kind of this built-in subscription model, and it made people way more willing to join. Like $10 a month, sure, I'll do it. Yeah. It's great.
All right, so even though subscription agreement versus like having to pay a fee on each of those little transactions, it's working out.
It's totally working out. Yeah.
Okay.
I think on our ownership is $250. And I think we figured out we get about $235 out of everybody. It works in our pro forma. It's really a non-issue.
Excellent. Katie, thoughts?
Yeah, so we also pass we do pass the cost of square fees onto our members, and we've done that from the beginning and continue to do it that way. And maybe it's deterred some people, but I haven't heard anything about it. So we have the other piece. Oh, and we also accept donations for our solidarity memberships, our solidarity fund through Square. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that most of our growth has been in the last year or so. We had a pretty big surge in membership in the last 14 months. So, which has been the pandemic. And so we weren't able to be doing in-person events or taking cash or checks in person. And so people being able to join the co-op online has been a pretty big piece of our success, I think.
Jacqueline, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Well, you've got 3 people from Bay City here, so obviously we consider this a very important topic. And I believe either Kathy or Katie, I corresponded with you a couple of times in the email.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to get back to you, but we're not at the point where I can get back to you. But my question is, we tried to sign up for Square and another payment says and let me back up. We've had online payments forever since we started, and we've been doing strictly PayPal, but we want to do other sources of payment. But we're finding that somewhere along the line, we lost our paperwork for our FIN. Is that what it's called? The federal ID number?
The EIN, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the EIN. And as a result of that, when we've had trouble getting other paperwork from the federal government, Square is not letting us sign up. Do you guys know how to get around that? Did you have any problems signing up for these finances or these payment programs?
Well, let me take that into an area, we'll answer it, but I want to take that, it leads us into the area of, I do want to talk about the different platforms you guys have utilized to accept payments. You're actually more experienced than me, so make sure I get this right. That basically there's the platform for accepting payments, there's the database then that this is all tracked in on your end, and then there's getting it into financial records. There's really kind of 3 steps. And I want to start with, yeah, like most people are using PayPal because it offers this payment plan. I also hear from a lot of startups, oh my God, PayPal, I'm hearing Square, I'm hearing Stripe. First off, we do hear from a lot of startups, they struggle to even get these set up. Did you guys have struggles with any of those, or any advice or tips on that?
Usually the front end that you're using, so obviously you have a front end, which is your website where someone's going to make an online payment. And the front ends kind of dictate what options you have for the most part. So with Nation Builder, and that it's changed since we first started doing it, but Nation Builder only offered Stripe and PayPal. So, and I think WordPress probably offers a little bit more variety. That's a bigger platform, but you're usually just limited by what the platform offers, because the platform has to have a relationship with the credit card processor, because they have to have an API, technical term, to send the data back and forth. And one caveat about PayPal installment plans, we found those to be a bit, you really have to keep close track of those, because PayPal, sometimes if a person misses a payment, PayPal just stops the installment payment plan, and we're not quite sure why.
Oh.
So you do have to have someone closely monitoring to make sure that people are fulfilling their obligation under the installment payment plan. At least if you're using PayPal, they don't have a really great reporting tool for that piece, we found.
Okay. And so, Katie, I would like to ask you, because I've never talked to anyone who's actually using Square for this. Does Square offer payment plans as well?
Yeah, so we set it up as, it's basically, so most people who use Square are using it for a store. And so we set up different items for our membership. So we have a full payment, a $25 a month payment, and a $10 a month payment. And we manually set up recurring invoices. So when someone signs up, they pay the first installment on their membership. And then our outreach coordinator goes in and manually sets up recurring invoices for the number of invoices that that person needs to do to pay. And then Kathy mentioned the keeping track of people who are paying or not paying. And I would say we do definitely have people who, you can set it up so that it's automatically withdrawn from your account. Some people do that and some people don't. And the people who don't typically are not paying every month. They're not like finding the invoice and inputting their card details. And so we do have a lot of those folks who are behind on payments. So we have a process for reaching out to them and trying to bring them back up, or offering them support if they can't pay this month, or whatever the support we can offer is. But So that answered the question.
It did. I think part of the fantasy of doing this, of setting this up, is that it's going to take out like a lot of that stress and hassle because it's automatic. And I'm hearing it's pretty much not. Is that also your experience, Jillian?
Actually, ours is very automatic. So we probably have the most simple platform of everybody on here. We went with Nation Builder early on, and our entire ecosystem was Nation Builder. So our website, the way we sent out emails, how we texted people, all of it. So when we set it up, so when you join on a payment plan or whatever, you automatically are tagged as an owner. You go into our database so we can send like owner-only communications to you. And it manages the recurring payments, and it manages tagging that person, and it manages emailing us to say someone joined and they're an owner now. So we don't do any of that. It's great. And we don't really have an attrition issue. I mean, there's a couple people who their cards changed or whatever. But for us, it is a very, we don't think about it at all. And so much so that when we actually went over to a WordPress site, and I'm happy to talk offline because I've been through this, we wanted to change over to a WordPress site. We kept Nation Builder as our back end, and I just did like a manual redirect to our Nation Builder site. So when you go to our payment screen in WordPress, you click a button that secretly just takes you to Nation Builder because we liked it that much. It's so easy.
Okay. Well, that's excellent to hear. And I do want to point out, because this comes up, it's not just Bay City who's asked this. Quite often, the early organizers of the co-op, with the greatest of intentions, you're running around chicken your head cut off, and paperwork gets misplaced. Who has the passwords for what? Everyone has a story to tell about that with their startup. So I just wanted to affirm that, yes, actually, there's no way to work with a payment company without an EIN number as a business. There just isn't. If it were anything other than something that had to do with electronic payment, maybe. But my experience actually as a business leader is pretty much no. It's your passport to everything, to suppliers, to everything. Yeah, Kathy.
We have an EIN number.
Mhm.
Our issue is with the original paperwork that came with that. I'm being told, and I don't know if it's true or not, that I need the original payment work or the paperwork in order to get other payment platforms besides the PayPal that I already have. And there's other ways to take money. Like in the past, we've done a lot of tabling. It's quite possible next summer we might do more tabling.
Mhm.
We are face to face with the public a lot, and to be able to use Square would be really, really beneficial to us because we
So,
also have some
have you tried Square without paperwork, with just the number, and they said no?
That's what I was told. I don't know if it's true.
Okay. Katie, do you know if you guys had to present that paperwork?
I don't remember. I did set it up, and I don't remember having to upload any documents, but it was a while ago. So
yeah, that's one of those ones I say I can't solve for sure right here, but I'll also say my partner has a business that's set up through Square, and we just had to put the number in. So it sounds a little questionable as long as you have a number and they can just look it up and see you exist.
Katie,
So
I'm sorry to interrupt, Jacqueline. Katie, did you do all this online, setting up Square?
yeah, yep, online. And are you incorporated as a cooperative business?
Yes, we are.
Okay, because I think that maybe as a nonprofit, it might be different. You might need to get like board minutes or something like that to upload to show that it's board approved. But
Okay. Well, I'll take a shot at it. Thank you very much.
excellent.
So
Hey, I joined late. Hi, I'm Sue. I'm very late because I had another meeting that went long, but just one thing on back to the PayPal. So we do PayPal for our member ownerships, and we set up buttons as opposed to just setting up subscriptions. So we set up a button for each thing that there could be. So there's the full payment, the 25 down or 100 down, 25 a month, the 25 down, 25 a month. And then that specific link, when the person says which way they want to go, that's the PayPal link that they get. And when they click on that and do their first payment, like everything is automatic, and we don't have to go back in and set anything up for recurring payments. It's already done through there. But I don't know if it was Jillian or Katie or Kathy that said, if somebody does miss a payment, the way that the default is that if one payment is missed, the account's suspended. and it's a real pain to unsuspend it. But you can do it by like increasing that amount if you get their, if they have their accurate credit card or it didn't expire or whatever. But for the most part, for us, it's worked really very well and very seamlessly.
Great. I want to, one last question on this on payment acceptance. There's a couple other pieces I definitely make sure we have time to get to, but there was a question if anyone has ever used Afterpay, who's involved here. I don't know any startups who've used Afterpay. That's not one I know about. So Kathy brought up the point, and she used much more accurate terminology because she works in the tech industry. Yay. But so there's front end, there's the payment, and then there's the back end piece. And let's talk about the front end, which is that's the website you're accepting your payments through, right? And I think that there's often a lot of questions from people about that too. Kathy pointed to what you can accept has to do with which platform you're on. I just want to real quickly make sure I'm clarifying that Kathy, you actually have a Nation Builder website. That's correct. Okay. And Kathy or Katie, you guys are using WordPress for your front end?
Squarespace. Squarespace for our website. Yeah.
Okay. And it works with both YouTube and with Square.
With Square. Yeah.
Okay. You guys did not, or I'm sorry, I had YouTube. You guys have not used PayPal through that website.
Oh, right. Correct. We never use PayPal through the website.
Okay. Don't know where my brain is today. And Jillian, you said it's a WordPress website.
Our front end is WordPress. We have a Nation Builder front end also that I do a manual redirect on the payment screen. It's pretty seamless. It sounds really clunky, but we just it acts like another tab. So when you click on pay on WordPress, you get taken to Nation Builder, but you don't know it.
Okay, so payments are actually being accepted through Nation Builder for two folks here, and then another one through. I'm sorry, you said you guys your website is through what, Katie?
Squarespace is the web platform, and then our payments are accepted through Square.
Okay, and I know that WordPress definitely accepts Square as well. And that's what most startups tend to be on. But I hear this question a lot because actually what I have here on this panel is a lot of technical expertise, but for startups that don't have that, a lot of you are starting websites, on, WordPress, Squarespace, something that will give you a template, help you out. There are absolutely payment platforms that will work with that if you don't integrate it into Nation Builder. The thing with that is the back end. Those of us who have it integrated with Nation Builder, that's a very powerful database that is going to integrate all that information. So let's talk for just a second about backend and where that information goes and how you make sure it gets into your records and how much is just taken care of by a Nation Builder and so forth. If I throw it to you, Jillian, how does that all work? Like, how do you guys keep track of all that information when somebody joins? What happens automatically?
Sure. First of all, cannot recommend it enough. So much goes to Nation Builder. They join and Nation Builder pretty much handles the rest. It emails everybody on the board to say, here's the person, they joined, their address, how much they paid. Mm-hmm. We have one board point person who sends out a text to the rest of our board members to say, this is their owner number, they joined. That triggers, she also puts it in a spreadsheet that we just manage through Excel. And that triggers like the people that write the owner cards out and, they have view access there. So that associates an owner number with a person. And that's just managed by our board BP. She just takes that on. One of the things I guess I want to say broadly about this is in doing all this automation, you naturally lose some people, right? Like the PayPal thing happens or whatever. And I think when we figured out that out of 250, we're getting about 235 out of each person, and to see if we could make that work in our pro forma, it did work. But I think for me early on as a leader, it was about like, where are you going to put your effort? Like, we're not going to chase down $10 from somebody when we could just go out and get another owner and have more momentum and have more community impact. So I would say like my thought process has always been the more you can just automate these processes, and maybe you lose a little bit along the way, but then you guys just have more power as leaders of your co-op to go out and share your message to get momentum. Like maybe you make a better connection.
And the Nation Builder, I think there was a question, like the difference between WordPress and Nation Builder. So just for a quick second, can you explain the difference between just having a website and having a CRM kind of system like Nation Builder and what it does?
Yeah, so if you just have a site, that's just a website that you go to, which is the front end clickable stuff. Nation Builder is actually, there's a web platform to it. So you go to your Nation Builder site, just like any other website, but it is smart enough to suck up information that people put into it, like their name and their address, and put it into a master database that we can all access. And then it's searchable. Those people are searchable as owners, where they're at in their payment plans, where, you know, their address, where they live. You can actually, one thing that we did in site selection was you can make heat maps in Nation Builder to show where your owners live, because it collects their addresses. And all of that is just automatic in there. And then it's like a searchable kind of big address book customer management system for you.
Excellent. That kind of, I think, helps. So Nation Builder, it could be a whole separate session itself. I'm not gonna let's go too far down. Actually, I just made a note. We need a Nation Builder session probably with Jillian and Kathy. And we'll see if we can con them into it to talk about, because they've been through, and anyone else who has been through, there has, I think, been a 5-year period of startups trying to wrestle Nation Builder into the right platform for startups. And it seems like these two specifically have made some progress. I know also the folks at Bethlehem have made some progress on that as well. So, and just talking about what it is to have that kind of database CRM and what it does for you as a startup versus having to move these pieces yourself. There is a lot of cost involved, but I'm not going to let us dive too deep into Nation Builder today. What I am hearing though is if you're using Nation Builder, that information is being automatically put into your owner database. You know who joined, there's good, go in, assign a number, you're done. So that is that similar to your experience, Kathy, as well?
Yeah, in fact, we had a WordPress site first and we ported over to Nation Builder because I mean, I'm very technical. I'm a systems engineer by trade. And so, with WordPress, we were able to set up integrations where it would take the data and put it over into CRM tool. But, you're paying then for that piece. It's all a little bit clunky sometimes. Sometimes it fails and you're not really aware of it. So Nation Builder is really great for that. It's everything in one place. So we do not use their email communications tool because we do not like it, but we just have an integration and then automatically ports all of our emailable people into WordPress. But you can do a lot with Nation Builder. It's a little pricey, but I don't feel like you have to be real technical to use it. Kind of like, if you can put together a WordPress site or a Squarespace site, which is not meant to be something that only tech people can do, you can probably also put together a Nation Builder site, although it does help to have technical expertise.
As someone who doesn't have technical expertise, who's been on boards, so I empathize with some folks who are on boards with people who really aren't tech savvy. I'd say you still need somebody who can put in the time and is comfortable that it won't take them 5 hours to do what it would take 1 hour for Jillian to do. But yes, I think it is accessible if somebody's got it. But I wanted to mention too, I keep saying CRM, customer relationship management software. That's what CRM stands for if you're not used to it. It's used by nonprofits, it's used by businesses that do sales. All sorts of people use CRMs. So, and so I just want to make sure, because you keep hearing POS and now you're hearing CRM. Quite often your POS functions as a CRM. That's a whole other conversation. So I wanted to talk too, like Katie, you guys aren't using Nation Builder, right? Are you?
That's right.
So how does this process work for you guys?
Well, so we decide, early on when we started accepting online payments, we decided, okay, we're going to wait to do the CRM and choose one that's going to integrate with our POS system when we have a store. So in the meantime, we said, okay, we'll take our payments separately and input them into a database. And then eventually we can migrate all of that over to like the POS/CRM system that we want to use for our store. So we're using Airtable for all of our data management, which we came from Google Sheets originally and needed a little more functionality. And so we moved to Airtable, which has been really great. But now hearing everybody talk about Nation Builder, I really understand, like the appeal of having a unified system is very clear. I mean, we do have a multi-step process that includes like our website, our payment, Square for receiving payments, and then inputting stuff into Airtable and using QuickBooks for all of our bookkeeping and accounting. So it's definitely a little disjointed, although individually I would say that the pieces work well for us, but could be definitely more efficient.
Well, I think a lot of startups are where you are, which is why I wanted to discuss that. I mean, Nation Builder is a great option, but a lot of startups have basically a website with a payment partner, and then are manually putting it into some kind of database CRM as well as their accounting. And Kathy says it's only Nation Builder is only costing them $567 a year. So I had heard Nation Builder got a lot more expensive than that, so it's good to hear. So again, that's gonna be one of those things where I'm like, if you have a million more questions on Nation Builder, I'm gonna encourage you to reach out to Kathy or Jillian directly if they aren't going to kill me for saying that, because I don't want to spend all our time there, but it sounds like it's more affordable than I thought. But this multi-step process is done by a lot of startups. It's not undoable, but you guys have a paid staff member who that's part of their job, right? That they're handling that piece.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's really the way that we're able to do that. If we didn't have a paid staff person, I think we wouldn't, we'd have to figure out something else.
Well, and that is the kicker, right? There's a paying for Nation Builder and getting it set up and really doing what it needs to do, or there's the immense amount of human capital time. We do know boards that are doing it the way that Kingston is with no paid employee, and that's a significant drain on the board and volunteer base. It's not undoable, but it is a drain. But I did want to go back to that accounting piece, because I don't think, I'll be happy to find out I'm very wrong, the Nation Builder is taking that information and putting into your accounting for you. How do you guys manage that piece? Kathy, it looks like you might have a comment.
We pay an accountant to review our books annually. And so when that process happens, we just export all of the data from Nation Builder and import it into our financial software. We're using QuickBooks currently.
Okay, so you guys are just able to take the Nation Builder data and import it into QuickBooks, basically? Okay.
Yeah, and I think that, like I said, we are on an older platform of Nation Builder, and now they have a new payment platform that I think is supposed to be easier, and it's Nation Builder's the actual payment processor. They use Stripe in the background. Now it's a lot more expensive, so we did not port over. It's like twice the fees, but that does come with some sort of accounting capabilities. And we haven't explored it, but when I complained to Nation Builder about the fees, they said, yes, but it integrates with the accounting software. So
I mean,
I do really think that that's a capability. I haven't used it.
Well, we'll have to see, like they make promises, and then, if it really took out all the accounting work, maybe it's worth considering. Jillian, are you guys manually doing that data import as well for accounting?
A little bit. Our treasurer is an accountant, so he's we're lucky in that way. We've always we had some volunteer, we have a really steady volunteer that's been with us for a really long time on that, and he extracts the data from PayPal, and we use QuickBooks. So they reconcile. If shout out to monthly financial reporting at your board meetings. If you're not doing it, definitely do it. We reconcile that stuff monthly as a group.
Nice. Okay. And Katie, is that something you guys kind of you get a monthly report? It happens about once a month that everything's entered into the QuickBooks to keep track?
Yeah, well, we do it. Yeah, I guess it is monthly. We have a quarterly report to our council, our board, but yes, everything is input more regularly into QuickBooks.
Okay. So I just want to be clear to everyone who I think a lot of startups feel really flummoxed because they're not technically oriented. They're nervous about even setting up a website. Then they set up a payment plan, and then they're like, oh my God, all these back end pieces. But it sounds like, yes, Nation Builder could be a terrific solution, but you can build a solution without that does work. And really, I was talking about the level of work. It's there, but as Jillian said, one really dedicated volunteer who likes to do this kind of stuff, and you're golden. So, it's not insurmountable in that way, like setting up the work to get it done. I want to take a second though and pivot a little bit to, I know some of you, maybe it's just Kathy, are accepting online payments for things beyond just ownership shares. But I want to start with, someone just signed up to be an owner. Do you have systematized way does Nation Builder send them a welcome email? Do you guys send packets in the mail? How does that human touch piece happen, that opportunity to welcome someone into the fold with this kind of online payment system? And Jillian, you want to get started?
Yeah, so Nation Builder does have the capability to send them an automatic email, which we leverage, just like welcome, and here's your information, and someone will be reaching out to you by mail. So for co-ops we were a co-op that did not originally do this. So we hit about owner 400, and I said, we have to get owner cards to everybody. So it was a massive lift. We we had addresses, we sent out a letter with the owner cards, we got 100 back, we found people, we got their addresses. You have to do this to run a capital campaign though. Like, you need people's addresses, you need your data to be clean. So we got through that. And then going forward after owner 400, we have volunteers who look on our spreadsheet of owners, and they say, okay, this is your owner number, you just joined, you're 9/19 or whatever, and here's your name. And there's just a letter that I refresh pretty much quarterly that's just like welcome and some stuff about the co-op. The volunteer signs the letter, she has printouts, and we have we pay for printing of that and an actual like little owner cards where they write the name and the number, and then an envelope that has our return address, so it looks kind of official, and then they get it in the mail. That's a cost for us, but it is in that letter, it's like, you know, we have an info session coming up and someone will email you. And so there's kind of in our community engagement team a handoff of, hey, I sent the letter, send them the email, and then hopefully we bring a volunteer into the fold. So I think it's worth it on that small cost. It's like $1 an owner is worth it on the volunteer push.
I really love that. That sounds, yeah, you guys are taking those steps to pull them on in. And I like the refreshed quarterly letter that I hadn't heard about, with like things that are current, which is kind of nice, that are coming up or happening. Katie, do you guys do something similar? What's your process for welcoming people in who sign up digitally?
Yeah, so once someone signs up to become a member and we put them into our Airtable database, they get an email from our outreach coordinator that welcomes them and has their member number, and also has an updated list that's refreshed every maybe a few weeks or months, depending on like what the new big thing is. And includes contact information. And we're not doing member cards yet. We also were thinking that we wanted to wait until there was something that they could be used. We don't want people to lose them and then have to reissue them. And so we decided we would wait until the store happens, and that would be sort of like an exciting, tangible show of a big next step. But hearing you say getting something in the mail from the co-op is really a sweet idea, and I really do like that a lot.
I like the mail piece too. I will say the majority of startups actually do owner cards within the 6 months before open or at open. So that's not uncommon. And it is kind of a way to be like, the store's almost open, you know, come pick up your card. You know, that it's not unheard. I love though that Jillian said, well, what we used it for was to clean up our database, because she is right. If you're doing capital campaign, now the traditional capital campaign, Kingston's not doing a traditional capital campaign. If you're doing one though, nothing is more important than clean data. You're gonna need it. And so you want to find out well beforehand if a bunch of mail is just going to come right back in your face, and emails are just going to come right back in your face. And so that was an opportunity to kind of maybe clean some of that up. I definitely hear that. Kathy, is your experience pretty similar with welcoming new online joiners?
Yeah, we're real similar to Wild Onion Market. We've been doing that since the beginning, and we have a volunteer. So what's nice about Nation Builder being also the back-end database is it'll tag people. So anyone who becomes a new owner, first they land on a thank you page where we ask them if they'd like to refer any friends, and they can refer friends who then get an email that says, hey, I just joined the co-op. It's so great. I don't know how many people do that, but when they do it, it does result in more ownerships. And then they're tagged with like needs an owner welcome packet. And so then we have a volunteer who goes in there every week, and they look at all the people who have that tag, and then they send them a welcome letter and an owner card. And then they remove the tag. So we have a verification that piece has been done.
Okay. There's a little question about integrating with the POS. Now, no one here has done that yet. Integration with the POS, although I wouldn't be surprised if someone here has researched it. Has anybody researched that transition? I know I can talk a little bit about some other co-ops experiences, but have any of you guys thought that piece through yet? Okay.
We've sure had a debate about it, but we haven't come to any conclusions.
Well, it is actually, if you have a CRM, so if you have a decent CRM, I don't know about Airtable, but I bet you could even there. Definitely with Nation Builder, we have seen absolutely I'm sure they would not say seamless, but near seamless uploading of that into POS systems used by food co-ops. It's not a major thing. It's a headache in someone's life for half a week. They basically, it can just be uploaded directly into it if you're using a mainstream POS system, like a lot of the ones food co-ops are using, like Catapult or SMS. And then someone has to go through and find all the things it glitched about and correct it. So there'll be like a whole list of things where it didn't know what the heck to do with this series of letters or whatever, but it's a couple days in someone's life and it's usually pretty cleaned up. So, but if you're using a CRM, and I can put you in touch with someone if you're like, I don't know if our CRM will mesh well when we get to the POS point. I actually do recommend, I think his last name, his name's Joel. He's with Colluminate. Joel, why am I blanking? He's their techie guy. He's really sweet. And websites, POSs, kind of his steel, Joel Brock. So he's just one person that I could recommend. I know that Joel would happily probably accept an email or a phone call just to discuss like how does that tend to go? What are your options? We're going to use this POS. Is that going to work? So you could reach out to Joel if you have some questions around that. I know Fredericksburg had a pretty seamless experience, but again, they went, I don't know if they used Nation Builder. So I think they went straight from spreadsheets. I'm actually almost positive. And actually it is pretty easy. I've done that. Uploading just an Excel spreadsheet of owner data into a POS that has been set up to have an owner database. The loyalty programs in POSs, we're not spending too much time here, are very easy to adapt to food co-ops needs generally, but the companies that do a lot of co-ops and have already figured it out and adjusted it are, from my knowledge, Catapult and SMS. But anyone with some tech background is what I'm hearing can take any loyalty program inside of a decent POS and adapt it to ownership needs. So, and there are some differences. You need to be able to look up those owners, and we need it to notify us if they're behind on a payment at the register. But if you're using one of the standard POSs, that will be no problem. So, but yeah.
I did reach out to the folks at Catapult early on. We were still trying to figure out where we wanted our CRM to live, to see if maybe we could have the member management software outside of the POS system and then eventually integrate to add on the POS system. And basically it was just very, very expensive. I mean, the POS system is incredibly expensive and they don't really do them separately unless you want to pay like, I don't know, $15,000 up front or something like that. So that was an option for us, but that's the level of experience that we have with integrating POS ahead of or integrating CRM with POS ahead of actually having a store to have a POS system.
Oh, that's a really good point. Other startups have approached these POS people ahead of time and said, maybe we just use it as our CRM and then we build the and the experience I've had repeatedly is, well, first off, the base CRM and the base like POS having the subscription, getting the software is usually 15 grand and then or more, and then you've got equipment. So it's not a cheap investment. And I know one startup way back that did it, and it was quite a while ago. Rebuilding the POS kind of around the way you've been utilizing it in this little corner, that one time ended up a nightmare. Like they had kind of reconfigured it to do what they wanted to do off like little squirrels in a corner, and then you bring in a GM who needs to set it up to be both a CRM and a POS system and all these things, and found out a lot of things that they had done had to be undone, and so it wasn't necessarily a save, but that was one experience. So we'll consider that answerable at this point. I wanted to get to, I know at least Kathy said for sure that you do accept payment online for other things like swag and so forth. I loved what you said about that those are donations. Do you guys sell that directly like through the website, or is that just so you can do that when you guys are in person at events? Can you talk more about that?
Yeah, it's just easier to manage it because if people pay up front, we don't have to chase them down with an invoice and pre-order something and hope they pay later when we invoice them. So there's a lot of benefits to it in our opinion. We have done it in other ways where we've let people order things, like we have a big t-shirt order going on right now, and then it is we have 150 orders to process, and so if we had to invoice all of that and then hope that all those people pay, it's a big outlay. So just knowing that people prepay and that we don't have to worry about all of that just takes hours out of having to deal with the back end piece. So
first off, 150 owner t-shirts ordered. Congratulations. That's momentum. Like usually those pre-orders don't get 150. But I like you were saying that it's integrated. You can do pre-sales. Do you guys ever use it for like I know you guys have done some events where you've accepted donation for, food or tasting, or I think you guys have done stuff like that. Do you utilize it kind of on site for that as well?
We use Square for that. So we just plug in the credit card and yeah.
Okay. So for some of that smaller stuff, it is separate. So you guys are basically using the online system for pre-orders of swag.
Like to pay for yard signs. If someone, when they become an owner, wants a yard sign, they can donate towards the yard sign. They don't have to, but things like that. Yeah. Or if we have something like this going on, because we don't have a website where swag is always available. We always just do it like in bulk orders. And so, yeah, that's what we mostly use it for.
Nice. Any other, either one of our panelists, some creative uses or different things about how you've used the online payment system beyond ownership shares?
Well, when you said about swag, we've kind of been around and around with swag, and it's really hard to keep inventory, and it does keep that accounting piece is really challenging. So we actually T6 from another co-op using Good Inc. And it's like a t-shirt ordering online system, and you can set your price, and you do end up making money, and you have to account for that in your taxes. It's a fundraiser for us. Usually we make a couple $100 whenever we do a t-shirt run, and they manage all of the inventory. They literally mail it to people. We don't touch it at all. It's great. The only thing is it's not always like the most sustainable, like that, the shirts aren't like number one. And that's been hard for people, but truly it's such a challenge to keep inventory and do accounting around that. So that's the way we went on swag.
Definitely. I'm gonna let Katie, let me let Katie answer it first, and then we'll go to you, Catherine, okay?
Oh, it's a real short question.
All right.
I need to know, Julian, who did you get used for that?
Good Inc. is the site.
That's all I need. Thanks.
Okay. Katie, you guys, anything like that?
Yeah, we also accept money through Square for t-shirts and bags. And the one thing that I really like about Square, and maybe other sites do this as well, is that when folks join the co-op, when they are paying for their membership, they can also choose to add on a donation to our solidarity fund. So that's how we get the vast majority of our donations actually to the fund is at the moment that folks join the co-op. So we have options for like add 5, 10, 15, 300, all the way up. And that's been really great.
So that's interesting. And I want to talk about that because I think it was Kathy, and one of you have also mentioned other like add-on opportunities, like, make a donation for your sign now while you're signing up. What add-ons are available? So I'm hearing, Katie, you guys, it's just to make a donation to the fund. When you join the ownership, you're given that option as well. What other add-ons are you guys offering people at that moment when people are signing up?
We haven't done this because we haven't had time to prioritize it, but we've thought about having like add a tip to cover the cost of the credit card fees. But we just haven't done that yet.
Okay, but that would be doable. Okay. I ask because I literally have never had to set one of these things up myself. So I am looking at you guys as the experts. Jillian, do you guys have any things like that you ask that right at that time where people could make additional donations or payments for?
No, we keep it really simple. They're signing up to sign up. We do have a scholarship fund, and that can be a whole other topic, but we just accept checks or cash really, and it goes into a separate bank account.
Okay. Well, I would say you guys aren't alone as startups that do that. And a lot of established co-ops do it too. When people join, they can decide to make a donation often to the solidarity program or to pay for something else, like if we're going through a yard sign push or something. So that is an option. And it sounds like I'm hearing from you guys that it's technically doable when setting it up. Okay. All right. So I want to open the floor to general questions now. I swear, I just wanted to make sure we got through the full flow so people who watch this later get all that information. But now we can get into things you guys just want to know. So any questions for the panel? Now everyone's quiet.
I'll go.
Okay.
I don't feel at this point in the game that I have enough information to be able to ask intelligent questions, but I really appreciate all the information that you did give us. It's going to take some research to go back and look at, like, especially the what's it called, the donation builder. It sounds like something that might be something that we want to use. So I hope that we can still stay in contact so that we can ask you specifics of how we can utilize those platforms.
Well, I think so, because I've never had Jillian or Kathy say no to me and when I've asked them if I can give out their email to other startups. So I think so. And also, I am serious. I think that I will see if they have time. I will reach out to Jillian and Kathy and see if we can put something together later this fall to just touch on what you can do with Nation Builder. I think it felt really fraught years ago when people were all trying to get together and figure out how to use the thing, but it sounds like some people have really nailed it down and made it sustainable. So maybe we could do a session where we talk about that, and with people who really just, you know, like me, honestly, only have the vaguest of clues what it can do, and talk about what you guys have made it do and how doable that is for others. So definitely note taken. But is it okay if people want to reach out directly to you guys, if I connect you? Okay, so just reach out to me if you want to be connected to Kathy and Jillian on that topic, and I can connect you. Other comments, questions? Yeah.
So we use a WordPress site, and we use Stripe. And I thought I heard y'all say that Stripe wouldn't take like a payment plan, but ours does. However, if they miss a payment, they get booted out, and then we like have to, you know, then we go to like our old Square account and kind of set up, you know, payment plans in that way. But so there was that. And then also, oh no, I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
That's okay. So here's how Stripe has caught up to PayPal, at least. Like, you can set up a payment plan, but it will boot you out if you don't pay. So same. And that might have just been something they've done more recently, and added the ability to do, but good to know. Anyone else? Oh, you thought of it. Okay.
Yeah. So setting out, and I know nobody's done this yet, but you know, I'm just really curious because we don't use Nation Builder. And we don't have a CRM. Is that right? CMR?
No, CRM, you had it.
CRM. And so I'm just wondering, do y'all feel like those folks who are using Nation Builder that has all of that functionality, do you feel like the POS will be able to do the same functionality or more?
I don't know, because I've never used one. So I know that, so my husband, Jerry, who's co-founder, he actually was helped open Sugar Beet Food Co-op, and he actually helped set up their POS system, which he called POS as the other POS. It was Catapult. And I don't know what their back end though was, but it was a week of his worst life trying to set that up. So I don't know. I mean, I know from a technical perspective, you know, if you have owners' data, their numbers, the day they join. I mean, if that's in a spreadsheet, any system worth a penny should be able to take that data and upload it and do something with it.
Yeah. It literally, a lot of startups go directly from Excel spreadsheets to a point of sale. And what a point of sale can do that Nation Builder, maybe Nation Builder can do it. It's basically, you know, it's heavy inventory management, and it can even put together orders for you if you do active inventory. And most are these days are set up for active inventory, although a lot of co-ops, small and medium co-ops, don't use it because it's like kind of like those, like, it's a great idea, except for it's also a nightmare. And so you have to assign a person who's constantly overseeing that. And most smaller stores are like, it's literally more affordable to just have buyers do buying on site than to set up active inventory. But what it's robust at is being an active inventory system. Most of them were not set up, you know, for co-ops. So they do decent ownership support, but it does not going to have all the pieces like where Nation Builder's tracking. Did this owner take a class? Did it interact with us? Did it click on this? Did it, you know, most POSs either don't do it, or they will tell me, I'll probably get a phone call from someone, I swear, from these companies after this video saying they do that, except for it's this module and this module, and you have to know how to set it up. And you basically have to have a full-time Catapult person who's ripping out their hair all the time to make it work. And I'm not picking on Catapult, SMS is the same. So, so they are different beasts. Yeah, and I think, I don't know of any startups that used Nation Builder, opened, and are now continuing to. Oshkosh might be, because they're a Nation Builder co-op, but I don't know. I'd have to find out. So I want to take a second, because I'm really big on stopping on time. So I want to take a minute to thank Katie and Jillian and Kathy so much for volunteering their time and their knowledge to take part in this. And do keep in mind, if you're not ready to make the Nation Builder jump, reach out to Katie, because they are making it work. That system is working for a lot of startups. So it's like, yes, there's more pieces, but in the end, it's not, it's a different kind of work. I don't know that it's a ton less. So feel free either way. And I just wanted to say, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording unless